Hi everyone and welcome back, it's Vicky here and today I have a 1 kit 10 cards video for you, and let's start by looking at the contents of the January card kit by SSS Stamp that I'm working with today. So first of all, you get a distress embossing glaze, that's the color that I got, and I think that the color may vary in everyone's kit. You will also get a SSS Stamp clear embossing ink. By the way, this kit is winter themed. Here's a pack of embellishments. These are lovely drops and they come in frost and clear and an iridescent shade and different sizes. Now these are the 3 dies of snowflakes that I will be using in every one of the cards that I'm going to do today. Here is the 3D embossing folder, again full of snowflakes, and in this video, if I didn't have the title 1 kit 10 cards, I could definitely use 3 snowflake dies, 10 cards. So here's the stamp set. You do get lots of snowflakes as well as lovely sentiments that I will be using today. And let's take a look at the 6x6 pattern papers that I will be using, all of them today. You know that in my videos when it comes to this SSS Stamp card kit, I like to focus on the pattern paper and show you many ideas on how to use it, because you will find other ideas from the other designers that are posting for SSS Stamp on how you can use the stamps or other elements from the kit. So you will find that in the pattern papers there are 3 of them where you get a big scene. I'm going to use all of them and show you many different ideas on how you can use such pattern papers. So you can apply the same ideas, the same designs on other similar scene images. So what I like to do, and I have shown this technique many times in my videos when I play with pattern paper, I grab one of my rectangle dies and just rotate it all around to try and decide what I want to use from this scene. You can definitely go landscape or portrait depending on what looks good to you. So after using that die on one side, I end up with these 3 parts and I'm going to use 2 of them to create cards. Let's start with the first one. I'm going to place it at the center, as you can see, and with this type of pattern papers, the work is already done for you. All you need to do is to just add some embellishments, some dimension to make it look more interesting and not just stick that beautiful scene on top of a card. Although you can definitely do that if you are in a hurry. So here I'm just stamping one of the sentiments from the stamp set. And then I used the 3 snowflake dies that are included in the kit to cut out 3 snowflakes. I did cut them out from white cardstock and you will see that I will use them on every card. I feel like those 3 snowflakes are a must-have for winter cards just because they have a beautiful, delicate design on all 3 of them. You get 3 different sizes and you can cut them out either from silver cardstock, you can cut them out from glitter cardstock, from white like I'm doing in this video. They provide the perfect embellishment and you can even use the negative space, which I'm going to show you today. So you see here I embellished the card with a sentiment and a snowflake behind. I did add some white splatters and my first card is finished. These are the leftovers from this pattern paper, so let's use that to make another card. I can place that on a white card base, add a sentiment, but let's make it more interesting, so I will grab the 3D embossing folder and add some snowflakes at the background. I ran it through my die cutting machine. It is really difficult to catch on camera the embossed effect, but I absolutely love it. It is very subtle on the background, but at the same time it adds a perfect amount of interest. And as I promised in the beginning, I will use those snowflakes on every one of the 10 cards that I'm making today. They are the perfect embellishment. So here I'm using all 3 of them, all the 3 sizes that you get, and I'm just going to stick them on top of my little scene. Having the background colors, mainly purple, help those white snowflakes to pop even more. And don't forget, we got those embellishments in the kit in different colors, so you can definitely use them at the center of your snowflakes to make them look more interesting. Now here I'm using the frost ones and they fit perfectly at the center of the snowflakes. Add your sentiment and some splatters, white splatters if you want, to make it look like snow. And here are some close-up photos on the second card for today. Now let's move on and use another one of those pattern papers with a scene, and this time instead of using a rectangle die I'm going to use a tag die that I had in my stash. And then from this pattern paper I'm going to use the die again to cut out one more of those tags so that my design is going to look more full. Now, if you don't have such a die to cut out the tags, you can just cut out a rectangle that's about 2¼ by 4¼ Use your scissors to cut out the corners and then add a hole at the center. Now I'm going to do some white embossing using some of the sentiments from the stamp set, and just because I do have the purple background, this is going to stand out just fine. So I went with Thanks Snow Much, which I find adorable. And for the background I'm going with the purple cardstock. This is 4¼ by 5½. And I got this beautiful texture on the background, which I'm going to bring up even more in a bit. So I have foam tape at the back of this tag, and I'm going to place it on an angle on top of the other one, so you can see a little bit of that popping from behind. Layering always helps your focal point to pop even more. I'm also going to thread through some ribbon at the top. And then I'm going to use Pigment white ink pad over this background. This is going to bring all those designs more into life, and I'm not going to try and be perfect. I'm going to ink up the edges. I'm going to make some imperfections here and there. This is going to dry way lighter than you see it at the moment, and it's going to give a beautiful frosty effect at the background. The beauty of using pigment ink is that it doesn't dry instantly, so you get a few seconds to move it around, and you see I'm going to use my cloth here. This is going to make it look more frosty, and I will get that mixed media look and feel at the background that I'm going for. And let's embellish our design a little bit more. Of course, I'm using the snowflake to pop it on top. It is a large focal point, so it is perfect for this kind of designs. At the center, I'm going to add one of the droplets. And you can see some close-up photos on this card here, where you can see better the background that I created. I absolutely love this card. Now for the next card, I'm moving on to the next pattern paper with a lovely scene. Again, I'm using my method, the rectangle, to cut it out. I'm going to place it on top of a standard card that's 4¼ by 5½. And as sentiments, I'm going to use some of the pre-made ones that I have in hand by Waffle Flower, but you can definitely use the ones from the stamp set. I'm doing that just because I'm making 10 cards and I want to make it really quick for me, but you can definitely just stamp or white emboss on black cardstock to get a similar look. So here I'm creating a focal point by using a die-cut snowflake, a sentiment on top, and then a circle cut out from vellum at the bottom. This is going to create kind of a medallion. It is a great focal point to add at the center of a card, even if you don't have that beautiful background that I have here. You can just create that as a focal point and stick it on solid cardstock. Now I did add some splatters, and you can see here the close-up photos on this card. And I have a leftover from the previous pattern paper. I'm going to place it on top of white cardstock, just some scrap cardstock that I have here. And I'm doing that because I want to have some white border on the sides. This is going to help it pop even more against my purple background. So I'm using my glue stick. I'm going to place it there, and then I will also use my paper trimmer to cut it out. This is about 1/4 inch or even less than 1/4 inch of white cardstock on each side. Instead of having those little strips of white on each side, you can definitely go with specialty cardstock like glitter one. I am sure that the silver one that is included in the kit would look equally beautiful. So let's finish off the card by adding a sentiment and a few embellishments. Again, I'm going with one of my pre-made sentiments, but again, you can stamp your own and stick it there. And I always use foam tape behind that big panel, behind the sentiment, to add dimension and make it look more interesting. With this type of cards, when they are so clean and simple, you need to add some dimension to make them look more special. So I'm going to stick down 3 snowflakes that I cut out from white cardstock, and these are going to lay completely flat on the background. And then I'm going to embellish it a little bit more by using my white contour liner. This is from my own collection with Stamperia, and you can definitely, instead of that, use the droplets that are included in the kit. And I still have some leftover pattern paper with those lovely scenes. I'm just going to chop off the top to make sure that it is 5.5 in height, and then I'm going to stick it on top of a white card base. Now again, based on what you get in the kit, you need to add something extra on this lovely scene. So in this case, I'm going to use Snowflakes again, create this type of a medallion that I used in one of the other cards by having the snowflake at the bottom and then the sentiment on top. Again, for the sentiment, I went with one of my ready-made ones, but you can definitely use one from the stamp set. Again, a very clean and simple one, but with a slightly different design than the others. Again, to make it look more special, use some of the included embellishments. And with this type of pattern papers, always remember you don't want to cover up the beautiful design, but you just want to add some finishing touches. Now let's make a card without using any of the pattern paper included. For this one I'm focusing mainly on ink blending and using the die cut snowflakes. So I am creating the background, I'm just inking up the edges and I'm leaving the center without ink. This is going to kind of draw the eye towards the center and it creates an illusion as if the center is glowing. Then I'm going to add some white splatters. If you are wondering, lately I like to use calligraphy white ink for the splatters. It stays nice and vibrant, but you can definitely use acrylic paint that you dilute with water or gesso that you dilute with water. There are plenty of ways to do that. Now this card is very simple to put together. I just placed this panel on top of my card base by using foam tape at the back and I chose to stick it down on an angle just to make it look more interesting. You can definitely go and layer it completely straight. And then on top of that I'm going to stick some of the white snowflakes. Notice that I'm going on a diagonal since I know that this type of placement is usually pleasing to the eye. You can definitely recreate this card by using any color of cardstock underneath. So you have your cardstock, you have your ink pads, and you have the dies. You can make this card as many times as you like. And that's the beauty of this design, because if you try to recreate the other cards where I use the pattern paper, it isn't possible. So it's a great design for mass producing. Following the diagonal, I'm using again my white contour liner to add some dots, smaller and bigger. And I finished off the card by adding a sentiment. Now let's move back into pattern paper and let's create one more card using that as the base. So one of my go-to card designs when it comes to pattern papers is to cut out a panel and just flip the corner towards the front. This is the great design that is really quick and simple to create, and it allows you to see both sides of a beautiful pattern paper. On the corner you can add your embellishment, in this case it is the snowflake. And I find that this is the quickest card design that still looks beautiful to help you use up all those pattern papers that you have on hand. And of course you can switch up the embellishment. In this case it's a snowflake, but it could easily be a flower, it could be a butterfly. Stick that on your card front by using foam tape at the back for some dimension. I'm adding some splatters in this case because it is a winter card. It reads like snow and I absolutely love that detail. And finally you can add your sentiment, you can die cut it, you can have it on an angle along the corner of the pattern paper, you can have it at the top of your pattern paper, whatever fits best your design. Now, as I promised in the beginning, I'm using the snowflakes in every one of the cards. However, in this card, instead of using the actual die cut, I'm going to use the negative space that the snowflake dies leave. So I'm starting with a blue background. I'm inking up the edges, only on the edges again, with a darker shade of blue. This again creates the illusion of having a lighter center as if it is glowing. And then I'm going to arrange the snowflakes on top of my panel and run it through my die cutting machine. I'm going to repeat the same process many times until I have enough snowflake holes, and I'm not using the larger one. I chose to go with the two smaller sizes. Now you can lay that panel flat on your card base. You can either do inlay die cutting and fill in the gaps with different colored cardstock or silver snowflakes or glitter snowflakes that you cut out, or like I'm doing here, use some foam tape at the back so I have dimension. Another way that you can go is to turn this into shaker cards, so you have some confetti moving inside those snowflakes. Just add your sentiment, embellish it with some splatters or the droplets that are included in the kit, and your card is done. And can you believe it? We already reached the 10th card for today. So for this one, I'm using two panels, one pattern paper, the other one a solid blue cardstock, and I'm going to lay one on top of the other, so a little bit of color pops from behind. Then again, I have a couple of snowflakes that I'm going to stick at the top. And I have to admit that my nesting dies, the rectangle ones with the stitching, along with snowflake dies, are the ones that I use again and again. I absolutely love them. I also like to have in my stash a tag die. I use it a lot as well as a Polaroid one. I don't know why I use those all the time. Oh, and a cloud. Clouds are also great for embellishments. Anyway, that was completely random which types of dies I use again and again. So back to the card, I'm using a sentiment from the stamp set. I cut it out in two pieces so that I can add it on top of each of those two snowflakes. Again, finish off the card by adding some white splatters as well as some of the droplets from the kit. And you can see here some close-up photos on the last card for today. I will also add photos of the rest of the cards that I created. You can find a list of supplies that I used for all 10 cards today down below the description. Don't forget to like the video, to leave me a comment and let me know which one of those cards was your favorite. I hope that you had fun, that you got inspired, and I'll see you all next time.